Hi guys, it's Igis here. So today I'm here with an update on my Megacolony plus Flagburg deck profile in Premium. So um, we do have new G units, including both Great Force and the G Guardians from Premium Collection. So it does help the deck quite a bit, while we don't need to rely on our previous WinCon. If you don't know about the WinCon and about this deck, you can keep going on. But if you did watch my previous video, you know the WinCon with other cards. So I'm going to go over the details, and you'll see the deck content. Then I will explain again in this video on how, some of the WinCons and some of the new WinCons, or like the pushing point that you can do with the deck. So let's start. So the starting Vanguard is anything that is in V series, that's fine. As long as we can get a quick shield, we can draw no matter what, that's fine. And you can see this deck is actually in English, while I am only using the new Grade 4 and GRD in Japanese because it's not released in English yet. And because I did bought myself English cards, so I can do like separate decks for Megacolony in JP and also in English, while I don't need to switch cards back and forth, which is a very good thing for me. And then next, since it's a Flagburg deck, of course we are running 4 Flagbirds. Now he isn't the card with skill that brings you the victory, but he is a good card for you to gain the names, or even while you don't strike, you can do some pushing turns, because he can still draw your cards, he can still retire your opponent's cards, and he can still do guard restrictions if you attack for 5 times. So Flagbird itself is still a very, very good card to use, and given that Megacolony is doing a little bit more of multiple attacks, this is also helping out. The more important thing is actually the retire skill, because we don't actually have retire in Megacolony until recently, and it's not like a kind of a guarantee retire because it might not happen at all. So having a Flagbird is really, really nice, but we on the bad side, we don't have the protect marker. We need to find a way for it. In this build, I'm not using a great one to gain the XL marker, because I'm always likely to Soul Blast Grade 3 as fast as I can, so that I can start recycling them, so you won't see the play. And another thing that I did try is to actually do personal right on another Flagbird, so that we can gain 10k plus for the front row. It doesn't happen that often, but if you are willing to kind of give up on the original WinCon, then I think it's a good way to actually do it. And sometimes the personal right can be even more crazier than your strike turn if you're running out of the key parts. So still works, but the main thing is to enable a lot of cards with Flagbirds in name, and while he also is a very good card for early game. Next, for the Inner Pulse Dragon, because it's easier to just get 4 attacks just by having this card on the board, and you can do a little bit of small pokes first, but now they are not small pokes anymore. When we go over the G zone, we will talk about that a lot more, but do remember he is a multiple attacker, he's a draw card with Soul In, and the restand attack is not only the small poke again. Let's just remember this card as this first. And then multiple attack enablers. Of course, we have Intruder Caesars and our Hell Demise. Now, Intruder Caesars might be a little bit harder to actually pull off, while he needs a counterblast to reborn from drop. Soul Blast isn't that much of a problem right now, but more the counterblast, because we do counterblast a lot. So I'm still running Hell Demise in case I do need to save some counterblast while using the Great 4 Ghidorah. Then I can just pull Hell Demise out and do some little multiple attacks, while my other cards are still strong enough. And then ending Grade 2s, we have 4 of the Ascendance Assault and 4 of the Mantis. So Machining Mantis is for Great Researcher because we do need a copy of Great Free to actually write correctly. We need to find out multiple attacking parts. We can find Intruders Caesar so we can drop it for strike cost, then we burn him. We might need another copy of Flagburg, no matter for personal ride or actually for like ultimate stride, because it's one of our win con. And Ascendance Assault is needed for 4 because he's also another multiple attack enabler. Most times in the past he's only a 10k body, so he won't be able to hit a lot of things, but now it's a lot easier, yeah, with the new grade 4. So he's still good, he's still important, and there are like times that I am only missing like 1 extra attack to actually get 4, and in the past I can't hit, now I can hit with him, so things changes and it's quite important. And one thing with him is that if you have 2 Flagbird in hand, you ride your Flagbird, you show your opponents another Flagbird, you can just pull him out to Regard Circle for free. So even though we don't have the ride deck like we have in the standard, but still a chance. And that's why when we are running 4, we are only riding on Mantis or him, so the chances you actually pull him off from Vanguard Circle to Regard Circle by riding a Flagbird is actually quite easy. Now entering quick ones, we need color charge, so high class morph is here. I want to run 4, but I don't have space yet, so 3 so far is still doing me good. And the most important part is recycling the key grade 3 personal right for later game, Hell Demise so that we can do free resending, and even the inner pulse so that we can just play him again, no matter for draw, for multiple attacking. Just wonderful. And Great Researchers, Little Doggers. Same as Mantis, we do need to find out key grade 3s, and we always want that, and even picking up a Heal Guardian can help sometimes, so it's still needed. And he is so easy to gain the 5k, and just becoming 30k beater, that's already like amazing in this build. And then 2 of the Brilliant Blister in new form and 1 of them in old form, so it's like having both so that I can deal with different situations. If my opponent is playing a Restanding Vanguard, I'm stopping them to restand. If they're playing a Regard standing heavily deck, then I use the new one to actually stop them. So I have options, which is great. As usual, I don't use the draw effects because it's costing me a lot of stuff, mainly on just stopping key restanding attacks, or like even just multiple regards trying to attack me, then I can at least stop something, which is quite important, because if you can survive, your opponent is going to have a lot of trouble. And then 2 of the high rate burst dragon for multiple attack enabler, but if you really want to have another high class morph, you can try to cut one of these, because we do have a lot of multiple attacks enabler, so and he is kind of contrasting with Inner Pulse because they both need to be like first attack in order to gain the effects off. But if you don't see Inner Pulse, he is really a good card to help you out. So I still recommend to at least run 1 or 2, because when you need it, you will see it. And then 2 of the Butterfly Officer for extra power buff and counter charge. And with your opponent's Vanguard, it's a lot easier to hit. That 10k sometimes makes a lot more difference. And going for triggers before we go for the G zone. So first we have the generic over trigger, because we do have like multiple attacks going on, and most of the time when our Vanguard attacks, we do have 2 standing regards. Even though the Stoichia over trigger is very powerful with crit, with front, with draw, with heal, but I do face a match against a Nova Grapplers where I don't have 2 PGs, I can stop 1 attack, and I'm facing 3, and then they pull off a generic over trigger, they pump the power, and then I just dead right there. So I do feel the fears of the generic over trigger, and this can also apply to this build because we usually don't do more than 5 attacks. Usually, yeah. So making the first 3 a little bit easy to guard, and suddenly pull off an over trigger to just ruin their life, that's just happy to have. But of course if you want the scarier over trigger, you can still use that. It's more of a personal preference, both works, just choose the one that you like. And then 4 of the strike for the crits, 3 of the sewing crit because we do want souls, 4 of the draw PGs, we do love draws and we do love PGs, and then 4 of the heal guardians. So heal guardians is a great free that you can pick it up, and you do need to survive early game, and even in late game you need heals for G guard, so still good enough. And the heal guardians really save your life from time to time depending on different situation, and I usually do keep 1 to 2 heals if possible for G guards because we do need to do our big play, which I will explain when we are talking about the G zone, which is right now. So first, everyone's favorites, Ghidorah, grade 4, to stun the whole board of your opponents, stop them from calling anything outside of their hand, including tokens and stuff. That's pretty impressive and enable multiple attacks. A lot of people, when they look at Order Colony, they just think the grade 4 Ghidorah is so OP and such, but when Ghidorah is released, she's already doing what she does, and she's basically a card that enable Megacolony to be able to start being competitive in a way. The old style, we can still do something but not as impressive as the grade 4 Ghidorah, and when we take out that part with a protect clan, we don't have a lot of things to actually do. So I do have like people asking me like, do you think this should be banned or something? I don't think it should. And if you limit this card to 1, probably still works, but the problem is you will basically kill most of the Megacolony deck. Like, because for Go Paladins you have multiple ways of playing the clan with any other clans, even like the irregulars. With Focus still we hurt, but we still get to do some plays. But with this, if we are like losing Ghidorah to do some annoying plays, then we probably will have a hard time to even survive. So we just like her, right? But if someone like from Bushu decide she needs to go, then we'll just take it. And as a backup plan, and for now, a very good fodder for Ghidorah to flip is of course a new card, Poison Evil Mutant Deity, Malignantis. So this card, while we still have Ghidorah, is usually a card that we flips, and once his flip face up, he can actually use the skill, which is a once per turn skill on Vanguard Circle and G-Zone skill. If this unit is on Vanguard Circle, you can pay the cost by just flipping a G-Zone face down card face up instead of doing the counter blast and putting a reguard into your zone. The effect is choose one of your opponent's standing reguards and retire, and if you retire a card this way, you get a draw a card and counter charge 1. So you counter blast 1, you pop a unit, and then you get the counter blast back, and you get a draw a card. So you have a reguard going there, you don't lose anything, while your opponents lose 1. And you get to do a little bit of exchange for your hand. Or if no cards are retired, you can choose one of opponent's vanguards and get minus 10k until end of turn. And this once per turn skill is not bound by name. So if you have 2 face up, you can use the skill 2 times, and if they have nothing standing on the board, you can actually get to minus 20k on the vanguard, which makes cards like Ascendance Assault, Impulse, a lot more scary, or even anything that you give skill to a highway burst dragon to become a lot scarier. And also for Butterfly Officer to pump extra 10k to make extra 10k difference, that is huge, because you're creating like a 20k difference, and they can't use G-Guard because you're using Ghidorah. They need to give you a lot of cards, and once they drop all their resources, then you will go to a key, which is Zoa. And as I said, like kind of middle of this video, Zoa is the win con of this deck. It's not always a way you go for, but if you can, you probably would. Because for Zoa skill, you ultimate strike into this card, you counterblast 2, draw 1 card, and then call a unit down, and then give them Quintet 9, so 5 9s in power, and a skill that if they hit, you'll win. Also, that unit being called will not be affected by any other card effects. So your opponents can't retire, your opponents cannot bind it, cannot lock it, unless they try to find something to call on top of you, then you probably will be gone, but usually they won't be doing that, or at least we don't see that plays that often, no matter in a casual build or in a competitive build, so we are fine against that. And most importantly is, in the past we only have Ascendance Assault to actually withstand to do 2 fatal strike for closing the game, but now we also have Inner Pulse, right? So and in the past, if you want to do that play, you need to pay 2 counterblast for Zoa and 1 counterblast for Ascendance Assault. But now, you only need to counterblast 2 for Zoa, call Inner Pulse, and only Soul Blast on 1. So you have 1 counterblast free, that as long as you have 2 counterblasts, you are safe, right? And if you have that extra counterblast, what you can do is you use your Nantis to actually minus 10k on their power, so if they don't have a PG, they suffer. Basically, it's like a 2 to 3k against a Quintet 9, attacking you 2 times. Without PGs, I can't imagine how they are going to like guard all that, because they can drop a lot of G-Guards. You usually need at least 2 to 3 G-Guards in order to block the Quintet 9 effectively, and the second one is also coming, because we do have a lot of withstanding cards to do 2 fatal blows. And you will only go into Zoa when you have Inner Pulse or Ascendance Assault, when you have all the costs required. So when that comes, they usually drop a lot of resources while you're using your Nantis already, like pushing through with just normal multiple attacks without fatal blows. They already give you a lot of stuff, and then you just go in. What they can have is G-Guards, because Ghidorah stop them from using G-Guards most of the time. This is the moment that they can use G-Guards. If it's not a PG type of G-Guards, which we have, for example, for the Great Nature one, that can actually make things not hit. But now, without those, if they don't have those, they need to give you a lot of cards. Guarding. If they survive, just say they're impressive, but the game is not over yet, because our main Vanguard is Flagburg, and Flagburg doesn't care you have a G-Zone or not. When you lose all your G-Zones, your Flagburg can still function the same. Most of the cards are not even GB related, so you won't hurt by losing any of your skills. If you have more in the Pulse Dragon, you can still just do your multiple attacks. you just lose this minus 10k chance, but you can still do your stuff. The only thing that hurts, I think, is only the sewing crit, but you can use it for guard, so no hurt, right? So the win con is still there, but you make it a lot easier. And before you go into win con, you might just win by pressure riding, by using a Atlantis to do multiple attacks, and not to miss that, your Ghidorah can still call Great Freeze to do 5 attacks while they minus 10k. So there's a lot of things can go on with just these cards. And the rest is more like just supporting cards. For example, Atlantis, if you want to basically block calling completely, go for it. Because there are chances that you know your opponents have nothing on the board and they prepare to drop a lot of things on you, and you want to save yourself a turn, do it. And then Overwhelm, which we sadly don't use a lot right now, and if you really want to cut one of her, you can go for an Atlantis, that's fine. But sometimes we do want a little extra draw power, or like a little bit of one extra drive to go through, then you do that. But again, most of the time I'm not using Overwhelm anymore, but she's still a very good card to have when you really have nothing much to do. Like, you use all these and you still haven't go into your solo turn, then at least you can still use Overwhelm. And then GB8 blocks intercepts, high power pump, blocks all their auto effects, is a good finisher. A game that I actually play against Great Nature, that because they use a lot of resources while I block all the G cards and such. I even didn't go for Soa when I see they just having a hard time to block 5 attacks when I'm minusing them power and do a lot of things on my own. They don't have cards left. But at the same time, I don't have my multiple attacks cards left. What I do, go into GB8, 3 big punches. They don't have enough cards to guard, I win. So GB8 is still important right here, just as a finisher when you see the time is right. And then we go into the G Guardians, 5 of them. So Great Sport, if you see background is annoying, you can use that, but usually I just put him in as a backup if I need. If not, I would just flip him with my Release Lady. So Release Lady is the key for you to gain all your resources back, because your opponent is likely not going to rest 2 of their units. So you can get a draw, you get a soul charge, you get a counter charge, and you use that twice, you lose the chance of using G-Guard, but you are ready for Soul. Because once you did this twice, you counter charge 2, that's exactly what you need for Soul. Right? And even if you want to go into GBA play, is a lot easier, because if you really have like 3 heals and you want to go into GBA play before you stride into Ghidorah or even Atlantis to flip another card, that's 2, right? And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's count again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you go to GB8. But of course you need to have 3 heals. Or you can just simply go for 2 and then go for 6 and still do whatever you want to. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this all these G guards. If you do have 3 to actually flow in for the GBA play, I think that works too. But the most important thing I use her is to enable my solo play, because our Release Lady is not going to give it any extra shield value, and our opponent is not going to rest their attackers, so it's still a 15 shield, but the extra draw can help you out, and that extra soul charge can also link you into our new G Guardians, which is Crew Weeble. So Cruel Evil requires you to actually Soul Blast 1, but this card is going to gain 30k shield, and your opponents need to rest units per minus 10k on this card for shield value. And most of the time they're not going to do that, so unless you face it over trigger, this is kind of like a PG for you. But you do need soul, so Rich Lady is going to help you out for that. And lastly, just a free power increase on shield value. Morphosian is still one of the most effective G guard for Megacolony that didn't involve any cost, because these ones, again, they don't gain shield value, and resting 2 of your opponent's reguards is not actually a cost, because if they don't do it, nothing happens. Of course, you do get your draw, you get a counter charge, you get your soul charge, but that's all. So sometimes if you want some high shield value, Morphosian is still the best card to go for, because it didn't use soul, and because you sometimes need that 1 soul for inner pulse or for intruder seasons to actually activate the skill. So do take care of using this card carefully. That's why I'm only using 1. Not only to utilize my options on G guards so that I can have choices, because I'm locked into 2. So things can go a lot easier for me to even think. But to deck itself is actually quite easy. What you need to do is try to push your opponents early game with a lot of different key parts in the deck. But the main key pushing turns is usually your first Great Rewrites, because when you, as you see, we don't run a lot of Great Ones and 2, so if you see multiple Great Ones, feel free to just spam them out and attacking, because you recycle with a high class Moth. But once you go into Great 3, you pull yourself this, right? If you are not striding because you're going first, you can get your inner pulse and do 5 attacks and try to do some board wipe, draw, extra power with guard restrictions. You might even win here, right? And you do have your say Butterfly Officer. There's your pump the power, so you might be able to do a lot more things, and get to have this soul charge to draw 1, have this soul in to counter charge. That's good enough, right? And the thing about Butterfly Officer, usually the weak point is once he's on the board, rested, that's all. But now with Nantis, you can just put this card into the soul, pop one of your opponents standing regard to draw 1 and counter charge 1, or actually minus 10 tanky power, which becomes very important. Yeah. So that's basically all I need to tell about this deck. And I play against different things. I play against like a Anger Blader type of Tachi, and I lost to that because they rushed me so hard, and I actually missed grades for a turn, and they're going first. So that is something that I can't actually count, but I think I did pull off quite great. That I do make them almost lost, just by doing plays normally, and even when I'm like great stock. So I see that alright, and then I play against like a Nova Grappler deck that everything is just alright. Everything is so good, but as I said before, it's like I'm on 4 damage. If Vanguard is attacking, I PG'd because that's the only thing I have, and I have some normal guards that probably can make me survive, and then they pull off a generic overtrigger plus 100 million on both sides, and I can't guard any of that. I don't get heal, and I'm dead there. So that sometimes happens. There's something that I can't stop, but at least I lost to a overtrigger that's okay, Some people just think it's not good, but to me that's part of the fun. And then I play against a great nature deck, as I said before, that they keep drawing a lot of cards, but they can't use G cards. They can't get anything outside from their hand. So, and then I just punch them so hard with minus 10k with multiple attacks, at least do 4 attacks every single turn, and they need to give me a lot of cards because they got minus 10k. And even if they are 13k against the inner pulse is also 13k minus 10, they need to give me 15k shield for sure, and I'm still not done. Yes, I do one, I do another one, and or even just a sentence assault can still be quite annoying just by doing all these moves, and that still haven't count my Grateful Ghidorah. So like this is what I have, right? And then I go into this. So these have to attack first and they withstand, right? Just imagine they minus 10k. This is 1. This attack again. This is 2. This attack again. This 3 and withstand, right? This is attacking again. That's 4, right? This is attacking again. That's 5. And then you just pull out your multiple attacks enabler, one of these. Say this. Just do that. Pull this back up. This was 10. So it's already another 10k difference. Just whatever trigger you have, and then you swing and swing. You're doing 7 attacks just by doing this. And they are in a situation that they can't use G guard. They need to survive 7 attacks, and every single small punches because of Nantis is like having a 10k difference. So they need to drop you so many resources in order to survive. Wow. Just thinking of that, how wonderful it is. So I like this deck. I sadly saying I don't think it is a very tournament competitive deck because it requires you to actually set things up, and going to a solo turn usually is a second to third strike, which a lot of decks right now is trying to kill you on the first strike. So if you actually get to pull this off, great. If you can't pull this off, don't push too hard on yourself because that's normal, and this is only a way to enjoy Megacolony while having the new cards to show you how powerful Nantis is. Because this card, like even without Ghidorah, you can still do 5 attacks with this card minusing 10k. They have the G guards, but they still need a lot of resources. So I like this deck. Do give it a try. Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I think that's all I need to tell about this deck. Like this video if you like this deck profile, if you feel this build is interesting. Subscribe for more deck profiles, more deck fights, more unboxing videos. I do want to try to record this, but I don't get a good chance right now. But hopefully I can actually do one showcase to you guys and you will see how this works, because there's a lot of things that we need to talk about this deck, and I think I cover all I need to tell. But as usual, if you have any questions, comments down below and I'm happy to answer them. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.